Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Wrestling Underground podcast. I am your host, as always, at a new later time. It is the Wrestling Underground After Dark. We are coming to you live 12 a.m., so if you're listening to this on YouTube, it's not 12 a.m., it's whenever you're listening to this. We are live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Wrestling Underground. I'm Chad. Joining me, as always, is the glorious one himself, Marcus Rain. Marcus, how are you?
Good, man. We should this is probably gonna likely be our new time. We could steal the theme song from the DDC or the DCC.
Oh, the Death
We all the
Count Council.
Death Crew Council. We all the fighters, the up all nighters. Yeah.
We are the Up All Nighters. That is true, and I still have more work to do when the show's over. So, huzzah! Schnitsky was on Raw.
Wait, what?
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 I know Snitsky's been doing work with MLW, but yeah, Snitsky tells Chelsea Green it wasn't his fault she lost the Battle Royale on the 11th 6 episode of Raw.
I missed that, and I'm kind of glad I did.
No, Snitsky's great. We love Snitsky. Snitsky's in his 50s. Snitsky and Kozlov, main event of Bound for Glory. It'll be awesome.
Oh my god.
So we don't have a long... Well, I don't know how long the show's going to be. We don't have a lot of headlines for you. We have a few. Namely, if you're looking at the screen, I think these are fine images. Doesn't really matter. Turning Point 2023 was upon us. And it was a show. Love... So I didn't see the pre-show. The pre-show had Grado and Rhino defeating Ryan Richards and Mike DiViccio. Mike DiViccio is one of the new hires from the Get Check. Leon Slater defended his North Wrestling Championship against former TNA wrestler Mark Haskins. That's a name that I haven't heard in a long-ass time. He's the British Andrew Everett. That's the best way I can put it.
Yeah, in a regime of old, he would have been named Maskins.
Oh, I think he was, actually. No, he wasn't. I don't
No,
think so.
you think about Mandrews.
Yeah, not better. So I didn't see either of those matches. I don't even know if those matches were broadcasted anywhere. I think I want to settle on the Joe Hendry, Simon Miller stuff. Because even though it wasn't the main event, it should have been. Not because it was some great affair. Very classic wrestling kind of outing. Like it was fine, but it was the match that I thought people were most amped up for. So we'll stick with those photos for the stream. Eric Young and Josh Alexander defeated Subculture in a great little match. I think Young and Alexander should go into the tag team division. I think there's a lot of meat on that bone, and I would like to see what they do together going forward. Could be interesting. Marcus, Young and Alexander tag team going forward at least for a few months. Is that something that you'd want to get behind?
It's something to do. It makes sense. The Canada connection, if you will. You got the OG with the his partner spearheading this new generation, if you will, and it just makes sense. Look, the company has made their decision, and rightfully so. I think much to our delight of betting on Shelley. Hopefully he's healing up and whatnot, but I think that's the right decision. Going with Shelley, you can always put Alexander back in that picture. He's really a multi-tool player on the roster. Actually, you can put him in a tag team, put him back, go back in the X Division if he wants to, and you can also keep him in a world title. But I think this is a good spot for him now, and certainly with Young, who's tied up any and all business with what was left of his former group. So I think this fits and makes sense right now, and I think they could definitely give the tag champs a run for their money, and I think they could absolutely put on a banger.
I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I do. Team Canada, Team Canada never die.
sure.
Let's see what else was on the show. We had Giselle Shaw versus Alex Windsor. I really liked Alex Windsor. she's a bit of I don't mean this derogatorily, a bigger girl. And I think
Mm.
Impact or TNA could use some more size, especially when you're trying to, and they should build around Jordan Grace. You want some taller, stronger, more physically inclined women to go up against Jordan. I don't know if Alex Winter's going to be around long term. I doubt it. But if they were to bring her in long term, I think she'd be a great opponent for Jordan, as long as we tweak a little of the image and get a different name, because Windsor, Alex. Then again, in the next match we have Trey Miguel and Rich Swann, so like they're not all bangers, right? You can't all be the Ultimate Warrior. You can't all be Macho Man Randy Savage. Right? We get it. We get it.
Which is why they put the banger side into the match.
And Swann and Miguel was a lot of fun. Solid match. Happy Swann went over. A little surprised. It feels like Swann's been spinning his wheels, especially like I know he was doing that thing with Sammy, right? With Sammy Callahan. But even with that, even with having watched just about every episode this year of Impact, having watched most of, if not all of the PLEs or whatever we're calling them for Impact, even watching all that, I still forget that Rich Swann is wrestling this year. Because it's just been very uneventful for him. He has not had a very eventful 2023. Outside of his feud, or his teaming up with Sammy Callahan and his subsequent feuds with, I don't even remember who OVE was feuding with the Design. Outside of that, I really can't think of anything Swann's been doing. So it's good to see him get a win, is what I'm saying.
No, absolutely. Like I said, they put on a banger. Those two, just two of the best to me on the roster, certainly. And I put them against, really anybody because they are that good. And Swann's a former X Division and world champion, for God's sakes. So, like you said, it's good to see him get some momentum here. Real quick, speaking of OVE, could you tell what happened to the whole Chris situation? Well, with Jake.
Jake. So he's still he's wrestling. He's wrestling with Evolver or Revolver Wrestling, which is Callahan's promotion. But yeah, apparently after that brief little return in the early summer, that was all they really had for him in Fulton. So now they're back to the Indies. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but it's a thing. It's what's going on. I'd like to see him come back though.
Yeah, same, man. I remember when some years back when he was like a thicker version of himself, and he became the king of the cutter.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that great run he had. But yeah, man, I thought he came in. I thought it was a hot moment. You had three of the members of OVE back together. And I thought it was going to pick up some momentum from that. But then like you said, after that, it kind of just went somewhere else. And then they put Swann with Callahan. After Callahan tied up his business with
Diener.
Yeah, Dina's group. So yeah. But like y'all, I do hope they bring him back, because even it got to a point where Fulton started to pick up some momentum. And for me, he was always kind of just there. Like, he was a big man and stuff, but I don't really feel like they put him in position to really pick up any momentum. But yeah, like I said, back to this match, this was some good stuff. But seldom do these guys under deliver. So
I'm hoping that we get something more sturdy for Swann heading into 2024. I don't know what that is, but he's been with the company for what? He debuted in 2018.
Yeah, would you drop the title? Well, obviously, hoping that's where they're going, because maybe obviously drop the DM title to Steve, and then maybe send him that way.
Yeah, so yes, but also I was thinking more of a direct route and just have Swann take the belt from Dreamer.
And then have Steve chase him.
You can do that. I don't know what the long-term goal with Steve would be, but I'm more worried about what the long-term goal of Swann is, because Steve is one of those guys you can take him out of a title scene and still, rely on his character work.
Yeah.
The one knock on Swann is that he's not a tremendous promo.
Yeah.
he's very charismatic, but being charismatic and being a good promo are not the same thing. Warrior was a tremendously charismatic human being. Had the promo abilities of a snake with Down syndrome. Best way I can describe it.
You said a snake with Down syndrome?
Yes. Yes, it did.
That is an image.
Yeah, it's an image. So, like, there's a difference between charisma and promo skills. I don't think Swan's a great promo. He's tremendously charismatic. And he's someone that I really want to see on the roster, especially, like, he's only 32.
Yeah, man.
Like, he's young.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, put the DMC on him. Let him do that. Let him do some programs with younger, up-and-comer guys that need to build up their reputation and their not reputation, their legacies, their careers. Like, I think Swan would be a great, not a gatekeeper. He's still very young in that regard, but he's someone who can bring a lot out of guys who aren't X Division inclined.
I mean, that's all. Would you run a new kid into him?
Eventually. I'm a little surprised they signed him to a full-time main roster contract, only because the other two are going straight to Can-Am. And I'm hoping that he gets a little time in Can-Am as well. Not because I think he's bad, he's tremendously talented, but being athletic and being able to do high spots is not the same thing as having a good match. And again, I have not seen a lot of his work. I didn't see his pre-show match against Mark Haskins, so I can't speak of it. But I'm just going off of just general ideas. He's 19 years old, and there are very few guys in the history of wrestling who came out at 19 years old and was able to headline huge shows. It's not to say he can't. It's not to say he won't. I don't know his work. I don't know him from Adam or Steve or Billy. My name's Billy. It doesn't matter what your name is. So we'll find that out as we go along with Leon Slater. Jordan Grace defeated Danny Luna in a solid match. Nothing tremendous about it. She had a great ovation, though. So did Danny Luna. I love the subculture intro. It's so dope. It's so dope. Joe Hendry defeated Simon Miller in one of my favorite matches of the night. I'm not a huge Simon Miller guy, and I find him to be obnoxious. And I don't mean like in his wrestling persona. I mean as a human being. I feel like, listen, if I see a man without a shirt, I'll give him my shirt. If I see a man without a sandwich, I'll give him my sandwich. If I see Simon Miller, I'm pushing him down a flight of stairs. I don't know why he angers me the way he does. I don't.
Yeah.
But I want to cause grievously bodily harm to him.
He has an a-hole's aura.
Right, he has an a-hole, like, he's the kind of guy who's like, hey, let me help you up. Okay, thanks, but why did you push me in the first place? Oh, don't think about it like that. I didn't push you down, I'm helping you up. Yeah, no, you did both. You did both.
No, this is the part of the show I'll bring up a movie reference to make my boy laugh here. You know who he reminds me of? Old boy, speaking of Down syndrome snakes, old boy from Average Joe.
The Jim from Dodgeball?
The antagonist guy from Average Joe. The one in the purple dude? The purple
You're
fan?
talking about Dodgeball, the movie with Ben Stiller.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah. Nobody makes me bleed in my own blood. Yeah, and you know what? If Simon Miller went in that direction, I could see a legitimate long-term run with him in TNA. He's the kind of guy that would do very well for TNA if they could convince him to sign long-term. Because you would bring him in, maybe set up residence in the U.S., and let him still do his stuff with What Culture, but also host a YouTube show for TNA. And I think that would be a really smart idea going forward. But we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening, These days are long, and the months, they are rolling. So we get to the one of the three headlining acts. We had Moose and Brian Myers going on over on Frankie Kazarian and Chris Sabin. Good tag match. Much like with Swan, I feel like Moose has been spinning his wheels, but Moose is about to get right back into the title picture. I think he's already is he already set before the title match in January?
I want to say he called this shot like Grace did. Um, but I'd have to recheck that. But I think he called this shot.
What's it called? Hard to Kill? No.
Final resolution.
No, that's not it. What is the January show called? I think it's Hard to Kill.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to kill.
Okay.
So
Let's see.
I know Final Resolution's coming up. I think hard to kill.
Hard
And
to
then
Kill. So yes, Moose has already called his shot. He's going to face off with Alex Shelley at the event.
that's
Trinity's taking on Jordan Grace at the event.
yeah, that's gonna be a good size and style differential between him and Shelley. Then I guess in the new year we got to see if they're keeping some of the same shows like Rebellion and what Redemption stuff just under the new banner.
Yeah, and that's I think a smart move personally.
To keep it.
Yeah, I like them keeping the names, and that was one of the things I really like fell into with TNA back when they first started, was that they would usually run a majority of the same names. Now they would shuffle them around, like Sacrifice was in May, but then Hard Justice was in May as well at different points in times, or like so Final Resolution used to be in January and Turning Point was in December, but then they flipped it. And Final Resolution was in December, and Genesis took over in January, even though Genesis was a November show. So, like, I like them keeping the names in the same spots. It adds a little bit of uniqueness and notoriety and consistency, which I think this company, not currently in the last couple of years, but historically has lacked. So, this is a good thing. Like knowing that Turning Point is in November, or that Hard to Kill's in January, those are good things.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, to you the point about the matches, loved the women's match with Jordan and young lady from Subculture, because she was a bigger girl, had a level of thickness that allowed her to compete to me in a more intense way with Jordan, which you have to do, because even with her being like trimmed down, she's still stacked in a way. Like
Mm-hmm.
her build is something you got. It's hard to describe. You kind of got to just see it. But it was a hell of a match, man. A hell of a match. And then, like you said, the tag team match is just as good. You got Kazarian uh, and Saban. You know, two veterans going against Moose and Myers. And I know we give Myers has a lot of time, but he finds his spots. You know, he finds his spots, and that team is set up in such a way where Moose is very much leading the way as you would with an actual Moose. So it works, and like you said, he's picking up a lot of momentum going into that match, which you need to do to kind of make it believable. I don't necessarily know if he's going to knock off Shelley, but like I said, it should be a hell of a match.
I'm looking forward to it. I think there's a part of me, so either put the belt on Moose at Hard to Kill or turn Shelley heel, but
You don't
don't
think
stick with the status quo.
he's still two in the middle for you?
I don't even think he's in the middle.
Hmm.
And like, I think that's part of the thing. Like, the whole thing with Josh Alexander was more personal than it was heelish.
Yeah.
But like, he's still behaving like a face, and like, that's fine. But like, Shelley shines as a heel, and not everyone does. Like, it's easy to write a heel because it's easy to find people contemptible, and we think that people who are damaged and evil and awful are conflicted and unique. But in actuality, you're just projecting your own, bias and trauma on top of them. Like, oh well, if I'm broken and unique and in need of help, I'm going to relate with people that I think are like me. Hence, why people prefer heels and villains, because the idea of being an upstanding human being is a very, very novel idea these days. And there are people who can pull it off. Like, I think Chris Sabin's a face. I think he is the Ricky Steamboat of his generation.
Yeah.
Like, he's just too damn likable. He's suffered and triumphed so often that people just adore him. I think Rich Swann's one of those guys. He's a very fun, very easy to like guy. Joe Hendry.
Yeah.
No, I think Joe Hendry could do a good heel role, but Joe Hendry's an amazing. Like these people eat out of his hands. Frankie Kazarian, another one.
Yeah.
And even though Eddie's been a heel for a few years now, Eddie doesn't work as a heel. He never has. Um, and like now that like the Callahan of it all is done, Eddie needs to go back to his white meat baby face day. But we'll see that
Would that hurt our girl Lish though? Because I feel like she's thriving as a heel.
I think Lish would do very well to steal or adopt, however you want to do it, Madison Rain's 1980s aerobics gimmick from that IPWF. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I think Lish would do very well in that overly caricatured gimmick, and I think they're holding her back by just making her generic heel girl. But I do think that her current role is better than her previous role. So I
Yeah.
do agree with you on that.
Good point. Yeah. It's interesting that we talking about this because there's a lot of names on this roster that just don't fit. As fate, I think Alexander's the same way. Even when he was a heel as part of the North, it never really felt like he was that guy. Of course, obviously they had all ego, mostly doing a lot of the front facing work, but he's always kind of came off like how he is now. So, but I wonder, going back to Shelley for a second, if they are going to kind of use that Alexander feud as a springboard to go into more of that hero because Alexander was kind of coming off of how they wanted to portray it, like he was the good-hearted guy that kind of looked up to Shelley, but was underlined, and even with the respectability politics of it all, but with that whole dynamic going, thanks for holding my belt for me, OG. Now give it back. And Shelley's like, I'm not holding nothing. Like I'm not apologizing no more. I'm not being a nice guy no more. Not bragging on all my pupils no more. I'm gonna hold my balls out and drag it across everybody's face because I put in the time and the years to do it. And I think the test for this might be better against somebody like Moose, who was just, he's probably gonna big man him, little guy, and might pet him on the head. That'll be a next level to it. But I think Moose will be the test for it because Moose is just he's tapped into another level of a-holeness too. Of course, I mean I think that the size helps with that. So
We'll definitely see what the direction that they're going to be going in because it's TNA. It's a brand. It's not brand new, but it's a new era.
yeah,
And I wouldn't be surprised at all, like not even a little bit, to see a title change, a heel turn, a shock debut. We'll see. I don't feel like this TNA name change is just going to be a name change. I feel like there's going to be more money put into the roster. So we'll see if that pays off. Trinity defeated Deonna Purrazzo in what would be Deonna's last chance to win the Knockouts World title. If I remember correctly, only as Trinity holds it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
she gets and I like that stipulation more than like Cody's. If I don't win, then I can never challenge for it again. And I self racism. Good for you, Cody. Good for you. Good for you, Cody.
That's hilarious that they probably sat down and was like, okay, what can we do to offset the fact that once you go put yourself in position, you're never going to go for the title. You need something big. You need something game changing, something that's
Racism.
something
No,
that
Cody, too big. Too big.
it's too big. We need something else. Let's see. What can we do with your wife? Say, okay, because she okay, we got Brand out there. Okay, we need somebody who can be like her. Okay, if she's gonna be Wesley, who's gonna be Sly? I got it. And then it's freaking what you call it from freaking MF. He ends up being the good guy. Oh, that's hilarious.
He really thought himself the savior of the black people, Marcus. He really did.
Oh man.
Cody, what the fuck were you on? And I'm gonna say this because it needs to be. Cody is not an interesting character, and everyone's like, Cody, finish the story. No, Cody, leave it unwritten. Who's saying that? The rest is all unwritten. I think it's like Natasha Bedingfield. Do
Yeah.
what Natasha Bedingfield said. Leave it unwritten, Cody. We don't need to see the end. We're good. We're
Yeah.
good.
Somebody else. Can we get the audiobook version? I don't.
I don't even want the audiobook. I don't want the Braille version. I don't want it finished. I don't want to see Cody beat Roman. Why? There's so many better options. I don't get to book this shit. If I did, it'd be real good. It'd be real fucking good. And by the by, I'm just gonna point this out to everyone who thinks that like, oh, look at how AEW only has half the arena filled. La, 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 la. That's still how most Raws are. It's not the dunk you think it is. A lot of times you don't see that side of the arena for reasons. So like, stop. You're not cute. You're a douche.
Yeah.
Speaking of douches, I really set myself up here. So the Trinity and Deanna match was solid. I really thought we were done talking about it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to segue that.
You could get a good segue because there was a douche moment after the match, or a douchette.
Yeah, because like Deanna and Gail kind of got into it. Do you want to see Deanna Gale?
I ain't gonna lie, with my Gail has this thing about her where it's like, she'll pop up here down there and just kind of let you know ever so slightly. Like, if I want to get back in here, I'm not gonna embarrass myself because the way she hit that eat defeat was slick. And shout out to Deanna because she sold it like hell. But I wouldn't mind it. I mean, they got to do something. I would hope Deanna's not out on the way out the door, but the way they've been setting her up, she's taking nothing but L's to Trinity. Um, she got to come up with when it came to the Jordan thing, and now ironically, she's been put in the same position she put Jordan in not so long ago with the if this such and such person is champion, uh, I can never get to another title shot because I couldn't beat him with the 5 title shots that I was given. So
part of me is concerned that TNA is about to lose both Deanna and Trinity. I think Trinity is losing to Jordan at Hard to Kill, and I think she's done and going to wrap up with the company. I really do.
you don't think she has a potential for the re-sign?
I want to believe that she would. They've really done a great job, like, wrapping her up, and, like, she's one of the slam buddies, no disrespect intended. She's on all the merchandising, so, like, they really do believe in her, and I feel like it's transcended. I feel like if we measure things like WWE's 100, AEW's 85, TNA's 70, I feel like they were 68 before they got Trinity, and now they're at 70. So, like, it's not a huge leap, but I feel like she did help. But the problem is, does she want to stick around in TNA? Does Deanna want to stick around in TNA? And let's be honest, if you want to talk about good booking, there's no third option. There's no second option. AEW's not going to book them well. WWE's not going to book them well. So why would they leave? Now, granted, more money, obviously. But, ask Gail, man. The grass is not always greener on the other side. You might get some more money, but you'll also be dealing with a hell of a lot more nonsense.
Yeah, and also there's a larger crowd. Like the knockouts are kind of like got a good decent amount of knockouts, but it's not so much crazy that I think you would get lost in a shuffle uh, of it all. And speaking of Deanna, did you think they were gonna give her and Steels a run, maybe for the tag titles for a second there? Because they put that together and kind of scrapped it immediately.
I don't know if I fully believed it. There's always a possibility, right? I think that's pretty obvious with this company, especially when they're trying to sign or retain talent. Like, everyone gets a title run at sometimes. I never really thought for sure that they were going to, only because with with Deanna's future and with Tasha Steelz being a little bit of a with Tasha having her own set of issues over the recent months and whatnot. I didn't think it was going to happen with those two specifically combined, and considering how over MK Ultra is, especially with Masha Slamovich,
Yeah.
I didn't see the reason to do so. Like, they're so good that it didn't make any sense to take the belts off them for what would have been, no different than the who was it, Deanna and Chelsea Green run that they did. So
Oh yeah, they did do that. Never
yeah,
mind. Yeah.
so like I really didn't see it happening, and it shouldn't happen. It really shouldn't. It should come down to a situation where if you're going to re-sign, sure, but if you're not, then don't. Like,
Yeah.
so I didn't really think it was going to happen. Main event time: Ospreay defeated Eddie. I didn't see this match. I had to go to work today before I could get into it, but I gotta imagine it's a banger, right? Like, Eddie's too good.
Oh yeah,
Ospreay's
man.
too
Don't.
athletic.
I was thinking about you the whole time. I was like, I could see Chad going, "Yes, Eddie, yes, just fucking smaller."
It
Yeah,
is.
but
It
even
is.
like I said,
Sorry, I was gonna say it is funny that they've been letting Ospreay get all his wins. I don't think he's ever lost in TNA.
yeah, you probably right about that. Specifically with the momentum he's been carrying over this, I guess, the sum of Ospreay that he's kind of made. But yeah, man, Eddie, him and Eddie put on an absolute banger as you would expect. Um, Ospreay came out on top, and it's continuing to build some of that momentum. He gave a great speech after the match, continuing to build a lot of belief that TNA is high on the list, depending on how things go when his contract's up in February, which he
I think
kind of
so.
alluded to.
Yes.
So yeah, but I think yeah, this was a banger, man. I gotta say, looking back over this whole show, I appreciated it. It was really good. I thought this was a banger way to return to the UK. One of the strongest markets. The first time them being back in UK in what years, right? So,
Yeah,
um, hell of a show.
it really was. It really was a hell of a show. I'll have to watch the main event here after we get done with the show, and I'm looking forward to it. Should be real good. All right. With that being said, let's move on to the next story, which is the fact that TNA signed several names from this group that
Hmm.
we got to see, and I don't think we saw Harley Hudson, but we saw Leon Slater, who is very famous for his 450 senton, I think is what it is.
Yeah, a Swanton 450. Yeah, go.
Swanton 450. So he's a lunatic.
Yeah, that freak because you got to dive and then switch. Well, that's a video. That's absolute video game savagery right there.
He kind of reminds me a little bit of Human Tornado meets Mikey Bats. Now, Mikey Bats and Human Tornado
Mm.
are deep cuts. So, like, if you don't know who they are, I don't blame you. Those are 2006 internet days. Bats is actually 2004. I'm excited about it. I think he's going to be real good. And then we have what's her name? Harley Hudson.
Yeah,
She's got a nice little pink look, a little coiffed hair. Leon Slater's 21, is 19. Harley Hudson's only 21. Slater's got a main roster contract. Harley Hudson's going to be going to the K-Man dojo to train, and joining her is a guy named Mike D. Mike DiViccio. He's Belgium, and probably doesn't appreciate these nuts jokes. So he's the most main events of the three. Like, the dude looks like he's going to rip your arms off, beat you with him, and then eat you
yeah,
whole, and then spit out the bones. And he's
yeah.
only 27, so like he'll be joining Harley Hudson or Hartley Hudson. I gotta double check. Harley Hudson down in or up in the Can-Am dojo. So hopefully we get to see both of them in the not too distant future. Marcus, any thoughts on the new hires?
I think they're great. It's funny we were talking about this young Leon who we've been calling for the longest, talking about these these loose dating relationships that they have, the company has with a lot of these talent, that they should be either trying to lock down or jettison if they're not taking them seriously. And then, we're like, lock down somebody young and build. And then the company goes, hold my beer. There's a 19-year-old phenom we can do something with. Um, so that's cool. And then you got a young lady, and then like you said, this Hudson guy, he looks like a stud, on the outside. So I think this is an impressive class trio right here that I'm very much looking forward to seeing how they build all three of them. Because I think this is a good three. You could, this is a good number. Like you said, too, I'm going to the Cam Am. I don't know exactly what they're gonna do with Leon, but you know, heard nothing but good things about the kid. So I'm just hoping that they, do right by all three of them and put them in positions to win because they could really be, I think, some real momentum movers on that roster.
I think so too, and I'm excited to see it. Now, Marcus, you don't know about the next story, and it's about the NWA. But before we do that, I want to do some quick news, just to delay it a little bit more. So apparently, we have a new belt coming to New Japan. Dave Finlay smashed the IWGP US title. Um, I thought Finlay won it, but I guess not. New Japan then confirmed that Ospreay will defend the IWGP US title against Moxley and Finlay. In an announcement, New Japan teased that a new title will be created for the match. So, and I also heard a rumor that maybe they're going to be debuting a new world title as well. I don't know if that's legit. We'll find out. Also at Wrestle Kingdom, because that's what that announcement was for Wrestle Kingdom. We're getting Bryan Danielson versus Kazuchika Okada. Marcus, the Broken Orbital Bone, the Rainmaker, the Pain Breaker. How excited are you about this card? Because so far we have Sonata versus Naito for the IWGP World Heavyweight title, Okada versus Danielson, the War Dogs, Clark Connors and Drilla Maloney. They're defending their titles, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight titles against Catch 22, which is TJP and Francesco Akira. Then we have Hiromu Takahashi defending against El Desperado. Really? El Desperado? Really? Really? We're doing that IWGP title match again? Okay. The junior heavyweight title is just... I guess we're going with the nobodies. And then we have a three-way dance for the Ospreay Moxley Finlay match. We'll be getting a new... I'm assuming a new design is what they're implying. So, thoughts on that match? Or thoughts on that card? You like it?
Outside the junior tag, because I don't really care about either of those teams. Solid card that Naito Sonata matches are gonna be real interesting because I remember when Sonata first left because I feel like we've been for the better part of a decade been calling for him to finally do something that puts him in position to win, and he finally did it. And then Naito went like Naito got on the mic and was like, he couldn't get it done when he was here. What the hell he gonna do over there? And next thing you know, like he won it. Be goddamn. So I'm looking forward to that dynamic in that match. God bless Brian, man. Just add this to the list of stuff that he's broken with himself. Hope he fully recovers from that, or recover as much as he can to be able to work at a degree that he wants to be able to put on an absolute classic with Okada, who I'm sure is going to be very much looking to to take his head off, along with an injured Orbital, with a peppering of Rainmakers, which I think Brian has promised to break his arm, which he very may have to win the match. So that's probably gonna be the match everybody's tuned in to see. And Junior seldom disappoint. So yeah, it's so far so good. With the card, like I said, everything except for the junior tags for me.
The old chant, you're gonna get your fucking head kicked in. So watch yourself, Okada. Watch yourself.
Oh my god, man.
You're gonna get your fucking head kicked in. All right, we have one. Zac Efron and the rest of the cast of Iron Claw wants to wrestle for real. I would be down with that. Do a 5-man tag with Harris Dickinson, Jeremy Allen White, and Zac Efron teaming up with Marshall and Ross Von Erich. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Give me that match. I don't know who you'd face, but listen, I'd rather see that than another Ric Flair match in AEW. So, options. We have one more story involving Wrestling Revolver, but we're going to be talking about them here in a second, so we'll just save that for that. That being said, let's get into the story that Marcus has no idea about. So the CW was going to air the NWA on their television screens here in the coming weeks and months, right? That was the story that got leaked, rumors, innuendo, what have you. Well, at Samhain, or Sam Hain, however you want to pronounce it, they did a spot, Marcus, where James Mitchell, for realsies or not, did some blow. He took a bump of cocaine. Did he do it for real? Don't know. But it was an idea that Billy Corgan had, so that's what we got. Well, now the NWA is in trouble. Because the CW has said, listen, we're not alright with that. And now there's talks of the NWA being moved to the CW Seed app. Which would be bad. Because that would basically just be them doing it to absolve and resolve their contractual obligations to the NWA before they cut ties forever. There would be no renewal. There will be no second season. There will be no picking up of the brand. And to that I say, Billy Corgan, and I mean this with full sincerity, are you high? Corgan is such a moron. I can't even begin to describe. People have been dogging on Tony Khan. People used to dog on Dixie Carter. Billy Corgan's the worst owner in professional wrestling history who hasn't bankrupted his company in a year. There are the people who booked Jake Roberts and King Kong Bundy against, who was it, Kamala and somebody else at the Heroes of Wrestling event, did a better job running a promotion than Billy Corgan. And Jake Roberts whipped his snake around like a dick. Like, seriously, the main event was Jim Neidhart and King Kong Bundy versus Jake Roberts and Yokozuna. And it was supposed to be, I think it was supposed to be Neidhart versus Roberts and Bundy versus Yokozuna in a singles match. But because of Jake's condition, they combined it into a tag, I think. So, just kind of keep that in mind with how bad things are with the NWA. I think Heroes Wrestling was a better ran event than anything Billy Corgan's been doing. And like the NWA finally had like a glimpse of hope. They got the belt on EC3. They got some young guys like Kerry Morton and Colby Carino. You know, they have Camille still. So like they had like something. And then you're gonna get an hour show on CW. Man, this is the step in the right direction. And then Billy Corgan goes, you know what? Let's do a random cocaine spot on a pay-per-view. Why? Oh, does it add anything? Nope. Is it edgy? Not really. It's a try-hard move. Try-hard Billy Corgan at it again. Marcus, you now know what we all know. Cocaine at Samhain may have doomed the NWA. Thoughts?
A purvey of hell doing booker shipping. That's
Yep.
That's interesting. Like it's because a network that prides itself on being a champion of diversity and both with race and I guess sexuality, and you know that had, and I'm guessing still one of their mottos is dare to defy. I'm guessing, you know, with stereotypes and what have you, and I'm guessing in this scenario it would be dare to deny with this whole situation. Yeah, when you said the cocaine, like what? Like it's that's weird, and we've seen enough of uh, that particular character and impact over the years enough, but it was of course always working literally within the hellscape style. Obviously before dating back with the whole Abyss thing, and then obviously he evolved over the years in terms of dealing with the actual theatrical elements of the hell stuff, and then with Rosemary and all that. But not even like the worst days of Impact had him doing like the nose snow. It's that's bad. But I like you can't be mad at the CW because they can't. The wrestling will be a new adventure for them. And if you do something like that, and that could potentially be endorsed, it's almost like a retweet. Like obviously you didn't craft a tweet, but you kind of reposting it kind of comes off like an endorsement. So yeah, man. I mean, and isn't the CW as a whole kind of shifting everything right now anyway?
Mm-hmm.
You can't really afford that kind of stuff. I mean, the way specifically getting the DC stuff out because Superman Lois about to have his final season. That show has been severely reduced in terms of budget and whatnot to the point it has to be the last season. But yeah, they reshuffling everything so that them Gorgon is in a position to be put on the seed, which the seed has a lot of stuff on, a lot of good stuff, particularly during that whole the DC reign. But I don't know if that. I mean, your opinion, because you'll be more familiar with this stuff, everything that you watch. CWC will primarily be worse than YouTube, right?
In terms of viewership, probably, but they'll also get paid for being on seeds. Like they'll still make money off the contract more than likely. That being said, it's not great. Like you're not like the CW seed has been like where they got like incomplete shows or like
Yeah.
short run digital media shows. Like before, to the kids out there, there used to be a time when like YouTube or like Newgrounds would like try to create like actual shows that were short, like 10, 15 minutes a piece, and they'd release like 10 of them for a series. That's where they would end up is on CWC. I did watch a few great shows on CWC, like was it Hellcats?
Okay, so I want to say they got some Constantine stuff on there. They did the trying to see who I'm thinking about. They actually made him a live action character in the Arrowverse. Uh,
So it looks like it's no longer CWC, but CWTV now.
oh, okay.
At least that's what it looks like. All right, so like here, they have Helix. Helix ran for 2 seasons. Dark Matter. Dark Matter ran for what, 3 seasons?
Yeah.
Nightman. You remember that show? I know you remember
Oh,
that show.
love it, love it.
Not a
Yeah,
great name, but
yeah,
dope suit.
they had the Ray on there, Vixen.
The librarians are on there now. Dawson's Creek was recently added. Heartland, Party of Five. So like this is the general gist. Mystery Team starring Donald Glover. It's not a good movie. I'd skip it. So yeah, so it's not CW Seed anymore. It's just CWTV. Like Backpackers was on it for a while. I think One Tree Hill was on it. Not One Tree Hill. What the hell is that show called? I love that show. What the hell is it called? It's called The OC. There it is. The OC was on it for a little bit. So like this is not a great move for the NWA. So yeah, good on Billy Corgan for fucking things up. But, not all things are getting fucked up. Wrestling Revolver will be hosting a show on November 16th that will feature 2 huge names. One being Ronda Rousey. I believe she's teaming up with her friend Amanda Sharif or something like that. Ronda Rousey Wrestling. Let's just see. Marina Shafir. That's what it is. That's who it is. Marina Shafir and Ronda Rousey are going to team up, and they're going to be taking on. I think it's two members of AEW. It's Athena and Billy Starks. So that's a huge. This is Sami Callihan's tag team, so that's a pretty big to do. But they also got Paul Walter Hauser from Cobra Kai. He'll be wrestling someone named Matthew Palmer. So they got a... Listen, I don't know if people are into Cobra Kai or they know who Paul Walter Hauser is. He's been on AEW. Yeah, he was on AEW for a little spell.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I think it's a nice... I like when people do this. Like I like when they have like these really odd kind of appearances. Like I would be very okay with Maven popping up on a TNA show, right? Like not a huge name, doesn't add anything necessarily to the product long term, but it's a nice little pop. And I think Ronda and Paul Walter Hauser. I think those are nice little gets for the promotion. So I'm excited about that. Do you think that Ronda popping up on Wrestling Revolver means that she's far from done with wrestling and maybe, dare I say, interested to going to other places?
Maybe. I mean, obviously, she started off with the proverbial big kahuna, but I think just whatever her viewpoints on wrestling are or whatever, how she feels like it should be portrayed or displayed or the position she would like to be in within that situation. I just think they might be doing that elsewhere, and I think she kind of maybe want to go somewhere where the reins are lessened, where it's not as much responsibility because you're not in a globally publicly traded company.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that the more reasonably downsized and more grunge may be right where she feels home at, and it might have aided her in that regard to go to the big pond first, and then to be able to appreciate situations like that, because maybe she, obviously coming from a completely different world, only saw WWE as the most prominent, relevant, the only game in town, certainly only game worth playing, and now she kind of sees otherwise because she's, for as much prominence as they gave her, she eventually just became a part of the wheel, as all people do in that company, and she got it. She's nobody's hamster. With her attitude, that's just not how she rolls. So, who knows? But I think this just kind of with her life the way it is, her primarily being more of a mom now anyway. Just the freedom of it probably just works better for her anyway.
So Blue Mountain State is on the CW app or CW TV.
We call that a classic anyway. So.
No, we don't call it a classic. It is a classic. we're not the ones making this stuff up, guys. We're just telling you. So like they don't have a lot of great series and stuff on this, but they got enough that I think you can entertain yourself for a few weeks. So check out the CWTV.com. Marcus, I have nothing else to add to the show. Is there anything else that caught your eye that you wanted to touch on? And Heroes is on it too. So.
Oh, nice, man. That kind of reminds me of Tubi. Tubi TV. You be scrolling like, oh, these original movies are like, but then they, freaking see, King Arthur and the Knights of Justice and other stuff, cartoons and whatnot from your childhood, and you actually appreciate the archive. But
Arthur and the Knights of Justice.
Putting evil down. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Go check both of those things out. But that's pretty much it for me. Like you said, you covered the New Japan stuff. Impact is picking up great momentum. So with that on the horizon, and that's pretty much it. Nothing else majorly has dropped. Not that we cover anyway, as you guys know. We're going on the outside of the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
here. So yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, I guess we're out. I just checked out TV, and they have Major Pain, Marcus.
eh,
They,
eh,
there's
eh.
a monster in my closet. If he's still in there, he's not happy.
That family has to sit down and do a roundtable discussion of the classics that they've delivered for the culture that really just don't get it.
Right? Like, damn good. Damn good. All right, we're done. Check out the website at realnerdcorp.com. RealNerdcorp.com. We're on Twitter at NERDCORP. Marcus, you can be found on Twitter at Paradox Kid, PARADOXKID.
That's me.
You can also find him on his other podcast, The True Penny Show. True Penny Show on Twitter. TruePennyShow. That's True Penny Show on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Chad Nerdcorp, CHDNERDCORP, and on the Instagram at Chad's Photo Hut, CHADSPHOTOHUT. We'll be back next Monday around this time, 11:30 or so, again for another edition of the Wrestling Underground podcast. For Mark Shreen, I'm Chad Porto. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking us out. Thanks for giving us a chance. Remember, as always, to watch more wrestling. And Marcus takes home.
Good night, me.